One of these days I'll stop being sick. It's the 21st season in 1997, and that was Denji Sentai, Megaranger. Just right into things I liked, things that threw me off guard, and it might get a little meaty in terms of information that I'm going to share. This one had kind of that typical like high school setting, and it felt really fresh because all the other ones were either an ancient power or a random power that was given to everyone else, or just to a group of people, or it was military based. And this was, something where they're all high school students, was a different feel. And I'm trying to think, moving forward, I don't think we really re-encounter that setting again. I mean, Tokuger, they're technically all kids, but it doesn't also play on the high school setting, which is actually really important when I get to the Gokaiger episode. And to be fair, since I watched this in March of 2019, there were a few other shows I was watching at the time. I wasn't employed, so I figured why not work on some of my backlog. So I was watching The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and Hyoka, and I think maybe a handful of other animes where the main characters were in high school. So it happened to fit the theme. Well, it's not super obvious. It did have a little bit of a video game motif. They kind of reference the video game a little bit in the beginning as they're trying to find out who's going to be the Red Ranger, and even the theme song, if you listen to it, you can kind of hear a little bit of chiptune and like 8-bit sort of synth incorporated into it, and it sounds like a video game. So I really like that. So because this did have a space theme with something like Mega Voyager and Mega Winger, I think I can honestly say that it was a big part of my childhood, and probably why I decided to even study aerospace engineering. I thought I could make something cool like that. Ooh, how times have changed. Yes, the Neji Ranger arc, or Psycho Ranger arc, equivalent in Power Rangers. And let me just show you something real quick. Boom! Sorry about the glare. This is a VHS, not even a DVD, a VHS of Power Rangers in space. And yeah, the Psycho Rangers, I think it had all of the Psycho Ranger episodes. So from their introduction to their, destruction. I don't think it has the episode where they make an appearance later, closer towards the ending. But yeah, I'm just showing this because it will just show how much I grew up with it and how much I knew, like, the Psycho Ranger arc. It was kind of something I was looking forward to, and seeing how it was adapted from Power Ranger, or adapted from Super Sentai. And since I show you the VHS, I keep forgetting to show you that I have the Shout Factory DVDs as well. I have all of them. They're right back there, but I keep forgetting to show them. I need the thumbnail. And yeah, Megaranger. It's just different. Which, kind of think of it now, both of them play on the fact that they're both high school students, or they're both centered around high school students. But think about Power Rangers it's given to high school students, but they have to work with an alien, and something like that. Whereas with Megaranger, it actually not only centers around high school students, but it plays on the high school experience, and that actually leads me to my next point. Like the doctor, the doctor's relationship with the students, I really I liked. It kind of reminded me of Master Kaku and Ranger. He looks out for them and has a future. He has their futures in mind, because there was an episode where like he really wanted to make sure that they went to their college placement exams on time, but then a monster, threw that plan off the rails. And that is another point I will eventually get to when I reach the Gokaiger episode. Oh, and that ending, it had me going. I'll just say that. What I mean by that is, it was a thrill to watch. It was a fun finale ending. I don't know. What can I say? I'm easily pleased. Alright, some of the things that threw me off. So I knew when going into this journey, there were going to be some old fashion or old tech I was going to encounter that was going to make me, like, I don't know, just kind of throw me off. Even though I was born in the 90s, and I saw it, and I'm aware of it, it's not like I had to grow up using it, which is very different from seeing it. Some of the stuff that they were talking about were like old tech in the early days of the internet, because I think they showed a laptop with a webcam, but the webcam was bulky in an attachment, and I can't even imagine how poor of a image quality it had. But I think the one, honestly, that kind of threw me off was just the mention of a PDA, when that's, for those who don't know, it's a personal digital assistant. It's kind of like, so back then phones could only make calls. They couldn't send messages. They could maybe tell you the time. Some of them didn't even have address books built in. So that's where the PDA kind of supplemented the phone. It had the calendar, the reminders, it had the notes, it had the time, it had everything that the phone didn't, to assist you in your everyday living. But now, phones nowadays, wow, just everything all in one. And to be fair, this wasn't really done in passing. The club that all of the Rangers were in was like the Digital Research Club. I think that's just them exploring tech. I guess you can almost think of it like a STEM club. I kind of thought it was interesting. Mega Silver actually had a handicap, and that was acknowledged. His handicap was that because his suit was a prototype, it had a time limit, and it actually acknowledged his absence, because I think Super Sentai was still kind of figuring out the Sixth Ranger and really trying to integrate it more naturally. So kind of like King Ranger from O Ranger and Kiba Ranger from Dai Ranger, there are a few points where he had an absence. In here I have that Hinelar was the true villain, because I thought it was going to switch like in previous seasons. Like most of the time, the villain throughout the season was either a really, really high up general who was serving a bigger villain, or yeah, and I guess in this case, I think he was serving a higher villain, but then it did that betrayal where, he became the head villain. And also, I didn't know that, although you only see his monster form like one time in the last couple episodes, I didn't know that they used that to be one of the villains in Power Rangers Lost galaxy. So that was a nice adaptation that I saw. Speaking of adaptations that I saw, watching through the Psycho Ranger or Ninja Ranger arc, it was kind of fun reliving a lot of those episodes, even though so the monster moments were pretty much the same, obviously because they use the same footage, but how they dealt with those situations, like how they dealt with those situations was pretty similar. For instance, when it came for Blue's episode, or I guess Pink's episode, Yellow and Pink were in a disagreement. Blue's episode, they figured out that maybe they should try all being the same color to throw them off. Black, yellow, red, they had a human form and tried to do a voice identification. An interesting enough, it all actually ended up being it led right into the Christmas episode, which I didn't expect, I think. So apparently, as of episode 8, Super Sentai returned to a 30-minute time slot, so the episodes were getting longer. Not like double long, but like an extra 2 or 3 minutes long, which is enough to extend my time on the elliptical when I was watching at the time. So I was like, man, it's like, is it just me or is it taking me longer to finish these? Because at first I thought it was because I kept listening to the opening theme song, because it sounds pretty cool. It's kind of a banger, but I was like, man, I should try to, I guess I'll try to skip it so I can try to finish my elliptical on time. But it turns out the episodes just got longer, so I had to incorporate watching in my my warm-up on the elliptical as well as my cool down on the elliptical. And sometimes I'd stay an extra few minutes just to finish my workout while trying to finish the episode. So I guess just on to my favorite episode, and that was episode 39, Exposed, Mega Red's True Identity. So at this point, the Ninja Ranger arc didn't start, but they did make their pre-appearance. And in this episode, all the Rangers were being careful to not have their identity known, except Mega Red, Kenta, being the person that he is, was careless, and he installs, or he morphs inside of a picture booth, which was delayed and captures him morphing. And a girl, comes across it because she was the one who put the money in the booth and it didn't activate in time. So, she came back to the booth and took the picture, but it wasn't her picture. It was Kenta's. So, being kind of the little kid she is, she uses it to blackmail Kenta into being her playdate for like the next few days. But Kenta found it to be annoying. So eventually, with the help of Mega Yellow, Chisato, she remembers that the girl actually looks kind of familiar. It turns out that she is the sister of a classmate of Kenta and Chisato, who was in their class, but got sick and eventually passed away. When Kenta learns that, he actually feels bad for the girl and tries to fulfill her wish to get a moon rock and to fulfill the brother's promise to take her to the moon, which he does at the end. It's a lot better than what I described it to be, but so usually I'm whatever about those episodes where the Rangers help a kid and there's this lesson that the kid should learn, whether it's they should persevere and never give up, or they should, I don't know, tell the truth. But this was an episode that, if they had replaced it with an adult, or if they managed to incorporate it with an adult, they would have stood on its own. I don't know, I just thought it was a really sweet episode. Like, again, even though I'm usually whatever about these episodes, this was one that didn't really have a lesson attached to it, and it was just a sweet, emotional episode. I'm trying to think how this might relate to the theme, and I'm just thinking how, and I'll have to explain it when I get to the Gokaiger episode. Japan in general, places a lot of emphasis on their youth, especially high school, because, once they graduate from high school, they're essentially going to be seen as adults. And I think this just kind of ties back to enjoying your youth and creating memories and things like that. And, I'm starting to get a sense of why this particular episode kind of touched me a certain way that it did. I mean, you kind of saw me geeking out about how I used to watch as a kid, and then I am essentially revisiting it as an adult and kind of reliving memories, and also kind of recreating new ones with a different understanding. I think that got a little deeper than I was expecting it to.